The financial technology world is changing faster than a newborn baby's diaper. There's some in the industry who are keeping their eye on how the financial sector will be affected by artificial intelligence, robo-advisors, neobanks, blockchain, and more. We recently sat down with Lex Sokolin of autonomous.com to discuss these issues, and it led to a really fascinating conversation that's going to get you thinking. The singularity is coming, but while you wait for it, enjoy episode number 71 of the Bad Crypto Podcast.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 2, ignition.
Who's bad? Hey guys, this is Chris Dunn from Chris Dunn TV. You are listening to the Bad Crypto Podcast with Joel and Travis. Stay bad.
The singularity has actually arrived. The collective consciousness of the Joelbot 3000 and the Travbot 3000 are one.
Travbot 3000 has now been upgraded to Travbot 3001.
3000.1.
Yeah. 3000.01A.
I am so glad to hear you have been upgraded, Travbot 3001. Welcome, listeners, to the 0110001000100100100100100100011 podcast.
I actually had to cut that short.
You did. 0010000001100. Binary
I
solo.
had this idea, English to binary, and I put in bad crypto, and then I started reading it. I'm like, okay, this could go on for a minute. Trying to read bad crypto and binary. So you get the point. You're here. It's the show, and it's the only show as far as we're concerned.
Come on, sucker, like my battery.
Oh my gosh. Too fun. We hope you guys are having as much fun as we are, because apparently in 190 countries around the world, somebody's having fun listening to us on our race to 2 million downloads. It might not be the only crypto podcast in the world, but it's the only really cool one. I know what I'm saying? Because we are the blockchain blockheads.
We are the blockchain blockheads, the crypto clowns. We are here to guide you. We are the Sherpas of the cryptocurrency world to help guide the masses so they don't lose their asses.
And so please make sure that you do follow us wherever you like to follow, because we're on Twitter, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Telegram, we're in all the places. And make sure that you subscribe where possible, and then share Bad Crypto with a friend. And you know who else will really be happy if you share? Travis, do you know who will be happy if they share?
Do I know who will be happy if they share? Their friends will be happy that they shared.
Their friends will be happy. And our show sponsor is going to be super happy when they share, because it's like spreading the word for them. And okay, who's the show sponsor? Everybody say it with me. Zilla. Zilla. Look out. It's Godzilla. No, it's not Godzilla. It's just Zilla. It's the app, the ICO marketplace app. And hopefully by now, the beta app has been approved in the Apple App Store. I haven't heard from Abasa Phillips. He told me he would tell me when that's going to happen. So as we're recording this, I'm not aware that it's live yet, but this is where you're going to be able to actually check out the latest ICOs and talk about them and give thumbs up to the ones you think are interesting and thumbs down to those that you don't think are going to be good. And in certain places, you'll be able to invest directly through the app. So look for the first release of the beta app in the iOS App Store anytime now. And you can learn more if you go to zla.io/bad, all about that Zilla thing.
Bad Crypto Inbox. You got mail.
Danette writes via our contact form. Great job on the podcast. I love the show. Just want to remind folks, so Travis doesn't have to, when you use two-factor authentication, be sure to print out the backup code or codes. Usually it's available on the site where you set up the 2FA. That way, if you lose your phone you use for 2FA, you'll still have access to your accounts. Stay bad. Great recommendation. And usually it will give you 10 temporary 2FA codes on that piece of paper. Have you done that, Travis?
That's really good advice. I don't know that I've done that. Maybe that's why I lose crypto.
Travis. Yes, the never-ending list of ways you've gotten hosed or nearly hosed in the crypto space.
Mike Ricketts, he filled out the contact form. If you go to badcryptopodcast.com and look at the top, there's a contact form. That's a really good way to reach us. Unless you want to call us, we really like the phone call. The phone digits are 708-885-9030. You can leave us a nice voicemail and you can hear your wonderful voice on the Bad Crypto Podcast if it's a good question and if it's short enough. If it's rambly, then you probably won't.
We do listen to all of them, by the way, and most of them, there's just not enough time to get y'all on the show. Although probably around episode 100, we'll probably do another fan appreciation show where we play a lot of your comments. I think the feedback from episode 50 was really great, and so we'll probably do that again.
Yes. And Mike, he wrote, I am a recent immigrant to the land of Bad Cryptopia, and I am currently learning all I can about Bad Cryptopian history, listening to the show from the beginning, and I'm learning so much. Thank you for taking us along y'all's journey of discovering the magical internet money.
Internet money.
Thanks for all the great work, Mike. Thank you, Mike, for thanking us. And we're thanking you and thanking us for thanking you. That's really great. We really appreciate it.
We're very thankful. Hey, when you guys call the Bad Crypto Hotline, like many of you say, stay bad. That's great. But we would love to hear some of you sing Magical Internet Money, too. That would be awesome. Put some of y'all on. So go for it. 1-708-885-9030. Give us a little Magical Internet Money jingle as part of your comments, because it makes us to smile.
That is true.
So yeah, get a hold of us because we dig it. And we also dug our time with Lex Sokolin. And rather than do a introduction here, we did it in the interview. So why don't we let's go to the tape, Travis. Mr. Travis Wright, I'm a futurist. What are you?
I like the present. I'm somewhat a pastist as well.
Yeah.
I'm a technology pastist.
So somewhere between a pastist and a todayist.
Todayist. I'm a todayist. Yeah.
You're more like a yestertodayist. Somewhere along the way, I got labeled as a futurist, and it's not what I do professionally, but I guess just having the knack to be able to look ahead and see what's coming next is what puts you into that category. And our guest here on this segment is another futurist. And we've both come from the future to tell you that crypto rocks, Travis. You're in the right place at the right time.
Future.
His name is Lex Sokolin, and Lex is the director of Fintech strategy at Autonomous.com. They're a research firm in the financial sector, and what they do is they help clients understand, leverage, and invest in innovation. And we all about that innovation, and now we all about welcoming Mr. Lex Sokolin to the Bad Crypto Podcast. Hello, Lex.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here. And I feel like the job of the futurist is to make tinfoil hats. So that's the number one thing that I do at Autonomous.
So
are you surrounded by them?
Reynolds Wrap.
That is top advice. Tinfoil is going to be more scarce in 2018 because we're just going to need to have a lot of hats.
That's beautiful.
I wonder if we can mass manufacture those and sell them for bad coin. So Lex, we're glad you're here. We think we hope you are glad you're here. And tell us a little bit more about your background before we jump into the meat here.
Sure. So I've got my scar tissue as a fintech entrepreneur. I built a company which is called Advisor Engine. It's a robo-advisor company. So using automation and software to automate what financial advisors do, helping people invest. And that got me into fintech and into this idea that you can use innovation and really edge technology to make financial services a better place for regular people. And the last year, I've been focused on crypto and artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and trying to figure out what is this going to do to our industry, our economy, and I help investors and different companies walk through those questions and make decisions.
That's a really interesting possibilities here with the future and where we're looking at, right? Because in a couple of years, Lex, we're getting 5G, right? I mean, AR and VR are starting to become really prevalent now, and AI, machine learning, all of this stuff is really, really prevalent now. When you start mashing up that stuff with fintech and cryptocurrency, you start getting some really, really interesting possibilities coming up in the future. And I've been thinking about this a lot as well. Like, you start plugging in AI on top of crypto trading charts and you start getting indications of certain things before they're even happening. I mean, that's a potential for big wins, for big trades. So what are some of the things that you're seeing as we move forward over these next 2 to 3 years, maybe even the next 5 years with technology and how all this stuff is sort of merging?
Yeah, I think one of the reasons it's easy to see the future, lots of people say, I don't want to make a bet about what's happening. It's too hard to predict. You don't actually have to predict very much because so much is already here, right? So if you have the latest iPhone, it already scans your face using 30,000 dots, and it can natively run augmented reality apps. And by the way, why do you think Amazon and Whole Foods are together, right? You can have augmented reality commerce. You can already download an app that projects a 3D sofa into your living room that you can buy from IKEA.
I just tried sitting on one of those and it didn't work. I fell right through the 3D sofa.
If you do it a couple of times in a row, I think it works after a while.
By the way, Travis, when we use the iPhone on his face, he still comes out pixelated because it actually takes 45,000 pixels to track Travis's face.
That's not true.
There's just some amazing stuff. I don't know where to go with the extra 15,000 dots. Like, do you have more face than normal people? Is it?
He does. He's actually the Trav bot.
Yeah, you're going to see all the pores, which are going to be great. That's what we're going to love about 8K, right? 8K videos. Like, get all the pores in there.
But here's an example, right? Here's an example that's already, there's been token offerings around companies that do this, right? So one way that the economy has been changing is that we pay for things using our attention. If we pay attention to things, we either see advertising, or if you look at the Brave browser, literally your browsing of a website is equivalent to cryptocurrency. Or there are companies like Dogecoin where, you're in virtual reality and the device can track the directions where you look. And if you interact with objects by looking at them or listening to music or seeing a movie, that is actually worth something. And turning that into a token, putting that on a blockchain and mixing it up into the world, like you're saying, that's already here today as a concept. And so I think it's just, it's paying attention to all the interesting things that are happening and projecting them into our world.
Tell me about this Brave browser. I actually was not aware of it. I just went to brave.com, a browser with your interests at heart. Browse faster by blocking ads and trackers that violate your privacy and cost you time and money.
Oh, yeah, that's great. I love Brave. I've been using that for, 8, 9, 10 months, maybe. That's great.
Well, Travis, why don't you tell me things?
I have told you. I mean, I did buy the BAT token on our one competition that 1 month, right? And BAT is directly connected to Brave. So maybe you missed that.
Oh, is that what you're referring to, Lex, when you say the crypto tie-in then for Brave?
Exactly. Yeah. So the idea there is, right now, if you use the web, if you use Google, if you use Facebook, you're the product, right? So the advertiser is the client of those firms. If you look at the mission statement for Google, it's don't be evil or organize the world's information. If you look at their business model, it's be the most destructive and monopolistic advertiser in the world.
And then their other mantra is actually be evil and censor things.
Yeah.
We won't talk about that.
It all works out in the end. This is why I have the tinfoil hat business. It's tinfoil hats are really important.
So are you a financial advisor?
Absolutely not. No.
Okay. Well, that makes 3 of us.
That is true.
You're in good company because we're almost podcast advisors, but not quite.
That's true. I want to ask you about the difference between fintech and sort of, in crypto and blockchain, because to me, a lot of that stuff sort of merges together. Now, fintech obviously is specific around banking industry and stocks and tradings and whatnot. And a lot of those are built on the blockchain, right? And you've actually been a successful tech advisor and investor and entrepreneur in this space for a while. So how do you sort of see the difference? Because it looks to me like it's been totally merging together.
It's, that's a really difficult question, but a super interesting one because I think it defines the decade to come. So one thing that crypto has done is it has collapsed into a software token, right? Into the token you buy in an ICO or in the coin you trade on an exchange, everything that finance manufactures. So if it's an equity like a stock, or it's a fixed income or a bond, or if it's a derivative, or it's a payment, or it's an insurance contract, or anything that you get from the financial services industry as a product, today that all of that can be tokenized and traded. And number two is all the different types of finance firms, from hedge funds to insurance companies to banks to venture capitalists, all of these very different types of people with different incentives. Now they're all looking at the same software token. So it's a real conundrum, and all these regulations that have become a real problem, and all of the publicity and all the questions and for the volatility. Part of it is that we have parts of financial services collapsing or sort of interacting in a way that they've never done before. So I think crypto has this kind of almost, it's like a black hole sucking everything into it, the entire economy and finance included. And I think fintech was trying to do that, right? The current fintech theme really started out around 2012, where venture investors started pouring in billions and billions of dollars to disrupt or change finance. And it was an exciting time to build companies, but end of the day, fintech couldn't do enough work, meaning it's impossible to disrupt the banks, to dislodge them, to take their clients. In a lot of cases, fintech companies partner with the banks because it's the fastest way to get to the client. It's a great way to get a revenue source or maybe an investor. And so crypto has this liberating aspect on the startup entrepreneurs because you don't need to take bank venture capital or go to the traditional route. You can get it from the crowd, and you can build as imaginative a company as you want. And I think all of that is going to help bring better financial services to actual human beings. Because that's, when we talk about banks and we talk about investment, there's a lot of kind of barriers to really getting to why the industry exists, which is to help people actualize themselves financially and have better financial lives. And I think these two things, fintech and crypto, are going to get us there.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the things that, as a futurist, you're looking at what autonomous does and what you're thinking about in terms of robo-advisors and blockchain and AI. Kind of hit us with some of the, where are we going with each of these, different niches that you deal with, and what kind of time frame are we looking at for mass adoption? Just kind of go down the list of the things that you cover and where you see us heading.
There are a lot of different themes that we think about, like you said, from blockchain to Bitcoin to artificial intelligence to robo-advisors and neobanks and opening up of the data in the industry, because it's really the whole ground on which it's standing is being turned a little bit upside down. I did do kind of my top three themes or top three ideas for 2018, so I'll hop onto those. So
should we do them Letterman style? Number 3.
Does he have an elephant after each of the numbers?
Well, he doesn't do a show anymore.
That's right.
That's the elephant in the living room. He doesn't. David, I think he's kind of become like Tom Hanks in Castaway, right? He's somewhere on a desert island talking to a soccer ball.
That's the life. That's pretty good. Yeah. Okay, so number 3. So number 3 for 2018, I think, is going to be about the automation of messaging and social selling using propaganda bots. So there's a bunch of things happening at the same time. And we saw this in 2017. And I think that kind of the propaganda bots that were in the news in a negative way in 2017 are going to be commercialized in 2018. So
explain how we see those. What is a propaganda bot or a propabot, if that's not been used before?
I like that. I don't know if it has, but
trademark Joel Com.
That's also how trademarks work. So if you, there were congressional hearings at the end of the fall with Facebook and with Twitter and with Google, and they were asking them how different messages went through the left and the right during the election. And without getting into any of those kind of election issues, the main crazy thing for me was that Facebook has 370 million fake accounts. Literally 370 million robot accounts that don't have any person behind them. And then on Twitter,
out of what, 2 billion accounts? Is that right?
Yeah. So okay. Somewhere between 10 and 20%, and about the same rate on Twitter. And I think Twitter's probably a little bit more than that. So the way these things work is they're not artificial intelligence, but they are automation of messaging. So let's say I want to do a token raise, right? I want to do an ICO. And I write up something on a blog, and then I put it up on a social media network. And then I have the other part of my kind of bot army. Let's say I have 1,000 of these accounts, all retweet it or write complimentary comments on this. And that feeds into the algorithm on the social media platforms. And so people see it. And because it has social proof, lots of people liking it and so on, it feels legitimate. And it's kind of a behavioral hack for human brains. And so this has been weaponized in a way by governments in these politics wars. But what's going to happen, I think, is we're going to use this kind of amplification for lots of commercial reasons. Like, this is how we sell things now. It's not cold calling. It's content marketing, it's writing things, it's getting in front of people, it's targeting them behaviorally using kind of machine learning, and then it's amplifying messages using this automation.
So we're going to see more of that in 2018. We're going to have like propabot overload, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and just one thing for your listeners to think about is right now using AI, we can fake both image and voice. So somebody can manufacture a realistic video of any person, Warren Buffett talking about something using Warren Buffett's voice. This is all using like machine learning, and to say any message that you want. So we're going to start seeing images and communications that feel completely authentic and real, and we will have no idea whether they're real or not.
That's a big problem, Lex, because when you start, that's one of those things where it's like Minority Report type of stuff, where you're able to get this information about people. I don't know. That's just a little. That's a little creepy, because we're not going to know when somebody's using video evidence if they actually did that or not, or if that's just fake video. That's crazy to think about. Yeah,
that's why, again, going back to the tinfoil hat, you would need professional you'd need AI software to tell you whether the thing was manufactured or not. Is just for a human, you won't be able to tell. Today, for example, we know when a photo is photoshopped. We know that a photo is fake, and that's sort of part of the social fabric. That's okay. But we haven't seen that happen yet with video and sound, and the tech is already there. And I agree with you. I think it's a pretty dangerous technology. And
who's creating that? Time. Is it a multiple group of people, or is it a consortium, or is it just a couple of companies that are doing it?
So the sound one is made by Adobe. Adobe has a product. You can find this stuff on YouTube if you kind of Google around for it. And it's for, people use it for sound editing and movies and transcripts and things like that. And then the video one right now is still it kind of sits inside of research institutions, so universities, where, people, but at the end of the day, this is open source software that gets contributed to the body of knowledge in AI, and somebody can just grab it end of the day and build this into an automation software.
This is going to take forensics to a whole new level, right? Because people are going to be set up, and I just want to say now, for the record, I didn't do it. Okay, that's number 3 is the propabots. Now that I've said it 3 times, the trademark is really locked in. What's number 2?
So for number 2, I touched on it a little bit ago, but I do think this theme hasn't really. People haven't talked about this, but I think augmented commerce. So commerce that uses virtual or mixed reality or augmented reality, using either a headset or your phone or glasses of some sort from Magic Leap, will start to come into play. So think about when Amazon first started selling books online, and traditional retailers thought it was just a toy. But then when e-commerce became so fundamentally important to our economy, all the fundamental pieces of the finance industry changed, right? So how people shop, how people put credit cards online, what those payments gateways are, what the banks do, credit checks, real time, all of that had to change when how people bought things changed. And so in my view, augmented reality, the ability to take 3D images and combine them with the room around you, or vice versa, you're in a virtual world, right? You're in your Minecraft world and you want to scan your cat and put your cat in your Minecraft world. It can go both ways. Augmented reality will change human commerce and what things cost and what we value. And I think if you look at esports, for example, right? So people watching other people play video games is becoming more popular than people watching football, right? So there's this shift in our society towards the mix of the physical and the digital. And with tools like the iPhone's augmented reality capabilities, or all the stuff that PlayStation and Google are doing, I think people are going to start getting ready to actually purchase things in this new way.
That's amazing. So I thought about this a lot, like we saw Google Glass popped up, and then everybody got lambasted and they were called glass holes for having the Google Glass. But now we're at a point where technology is getting so strong that we're going to be able just to have regular looking glasses that we're going to have these different display screens on going all the time. And I thought of that as well. I said, what's going to be so awesome is like you're walking down the street and you see Joel Comm wearing a sweet leather jacket and you're like, oh man, that's great. You're literally going to be able just to swipe on it. Oh, that's from Nordstrom. Oh, buy now. Whoosh. And then you're going to have it shipped to you. I mean, it's going to be amazing how retail and AR are going to combine together. I'm with you on that 100%.
I do have a sweet leather jacket, by the way, Travis, and no, you may not have it.
So what was number 1? What was the final interesting trend that you were thinking about?
So for number 1, there's no way getting around it, which is, I think it's going to be crypto. Crypto 18 is kind of the tag for it. And, 2017 was loud. People learned about Bitcoin, invested 4.5 nearly billion in ICOs. We see 180, maybe even 200 crypto hedge funds popping up. So 2017 was this year of mainstream acknowledgement and really grappling with the rise of crypto as a thing. And 2018, I think, will be defined by crypto becoming like a real financial asset class, and then just propagating through all sorts of tech companies in terms of how people store data, how they interact with data, and what's possible. So I think we'll see, many more institutions and large ones like big asset managers, like a BlackRock or a Vanguard, like not those particular ones, but someone like that, building exchange traded funds so that you can easily invest in it. I think we'll see many new traders on the market, and kind of more and more assets flooding in. And I don't mean this to say like the price might go down, but the overall assets will flood in because the mature financial system is now realizing this is a place they have to be, and they have to build infrastructure and trading and products around it. And, I think one of the things that I'm hoping for is also kind of real progress in the companies and the technologies that keep making the whole ecosystem better. So while I think it's really it's really neat that we've created kind of all this wealth for early holders of the crypto coins. What gets me excited is seeing the upgrades that are coming to Bitcoin, the upgrades coming to Ethereum, all of these ICOs now in the space, having time to build out their product and actually test whether the stuff works. And then, innovations like IOTA's Tangle or Hashgraph starting to push the technical definitions further and further and further. And so I think 2018 will be this really spectacular year in terms of taking the crypto world from concept to really rubber meeting the road.
That sounds wonderfully bullish, and I love to hear it. 2017 was the year that Bitcoin went from 1,000 all the way up to just about 20, and then found a base here again around 15 in early 2018, and people were hearing about it everywhere and buying it just because they wanted to make money, right? And so there's this rush of people that were jumping in because they heard, I can make easy money doing this. And now it's time for maturity, right? To see that, hey, this is not just about an investment. In fact, it's less about an investment than where we are going as a society with this technology, right?
Yeah, I mean, what we have to do is backfill the work that's needed to support the valuation, right? So I think that 2017 said, here's what the future can be, and here's how much it can be worth. And that number is way higher than I think most people expected. And that's great because I think the potential is very, very big. But now what's important is to backfill all of the work that needs to be done to make all the use cases possible, right? So if you want to do international bank payments and you want Ripple to work, well, you have to move all of those payments onto Ripple. Or if you believe in Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash as the payments mechanism or the store of value, well, you've got to do more than just hold it for its investment value. Or if you think that Ethereum smart contracts will, languages of the past and all startups will be built there, well, the startups that are being built there have to actually work and have customers and kind of function at scale. And I think that's what the next 12 months are really about. So, prices can go up and down, but if there's that underlying technological progress, if that's moving in the right direction, then I'm definitely bullish. That's the work that we have to do in the coming year.
It's Bcash, Lex, just so you know. It's not Bitcoin Cash. Roger told us it's not, but it is. So
yeah, let's I have a question here right before we're kind of wrapping up here. I noticed on your LinkedIn profile you talk about a lot of different sort of cryptos, just different companies that are being built right now, and I was curious about your thoughts on the various different blockchains, because I think what happens is whenever I've done analysis of my portfolio, I have naturally gravitated towards the blockchains, not as much as the companies that are built on top of the blockchains. I'm more heavily betting on the blockchains themselves. And so I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts of the blockchain ecosystem? Because there's a bunch of them out there now. Which are the ones that you would maybe bet on, or you think that are going to be the most innovative moving forward in 2018? Yeah, I think this is kind of core to the investment thesis in the space, right? Like, what do people like investing in? And I think we're early on, and so the fat protocol thesis makes a ton of sense, which is, get the highways, own the roads on which all this stuff will travel. I think that over time, the cars are important too. And end of the day, what's important are the people in those cars getting to the places they want to be. And so the things that I kind of get that focused on are the applications and how people's lives change from this technology, and what are the use cases. So somebody being able to take a loan to grow their business from one country to another because it's a global decentralized lending capital pool. That's I think that's super cool because there's a real change there. Or as another example, like there's a company called Xtrade, which I'm an advisor for, and they focus on connecting the public crypto world to the
the traders of existing financial institutions. And so building pipes and infrastructure for those two things to combine. And I think that's great for the ecosystem because, again, it makes it more mature and that makes sense. I think in terms of the protocols, it feels to me like that we have different protocols for different use cases, and that feels right. So I think, Bitcoin's use case and Ethereum's use case, they should focus where they are strongest rather than kind of overlap and try to compete for the same population. I think there's many challengers to Ethereum's smart contracts platform, from Neo to Cardano to EOS and et cetera. It's tough for me to say. It's tough for me to see, equal progress or traction relative to Ethereum. I think Ethereum's use in the wild has given it, a real advantage longer term, but that's not to say that advantage is permanent. They have to implement all the upgrades that they claim that they will. In terms of the actual kind of payments currencies and stores of value, that also feels fairly settled to me. I think there's a lot of market cap and liquidity in place already, and the hard thing is, how do you bring the dollar and the euro and the yuan all into this world and have it interoperate? And then another curveball is like, well, what if China or Russia launched the crypto ruble in 2018? What does that do to, either Bitcoin or Ripple or any of the stable coins? So there's a lot of kind of curveballs, which is why I try to narrow my focus to like, what is it that the humans actually will benefit from?
Mm-hmm. So right now, as of this recording, the current crypto market cap is $772 billion, right? That was from 40 billion at the January of 2017. So, it's gone up just a little bit. Let's look at the big picture. If it hasn't hit $1 trillion by the time this airs, it's probably gonna sometime soon. I mean, it's crazy.
Definitely by the end of January is my bet. Because we look at what the velocity we had after Thanksgiving of 100 billion adding each week to that. It was crazy.
Right. So let's make sure we've got our tinfoil futurist hat on and look ahead here to the end of 2018. Where are we going to be January 1st, 2019? How big will the crypto market cap be?
So let me answer that with a little bit of context. For a lot of people, I think they're coming into crypto and they're looking at Bitcoin and they're saying, Bitcoin went up 1 million trillion times and I want to be a gajillionaire too. Can Bitcoin go up 1,000 times from where we are today? And I did some silly back of the envelope math on this to get an intuition for it. Because people are coming out and they're saying Bitcoin will be 1 million. Because of the number of millionaires and things like that. So here's kind of the benchmarking. So if you look at U.S. currency in circulation, that is 1.6 trillion, right? So that's about 2 to 3 times of crypto today. Meaning that if you think crypto is going to go up 2 to 3 times, that's about the size of U.S. currency in circulation. If you want to look at the NASDAQ during the dot-com bubble at the top, it's about 3.2 trillion, right? So that's about 4 to 5 times from where we are today with crypto, right? So that's not 1,000, 4 to 5 times to the top of the dot-com bubble. If you want to go gold, which I know lots of folks do, that's 7.6 trillion. So all gold ever mined from the ground, from Mayans, from every single war all together, at today's price, 7.6 trillion. So that's about 10 times global crypto. That's not unreasonable to say that the function of gold will be replaced by digital cryptocurrency for sure. That could make sense. So I could see 10 times. If we go up a bit more, let's say all the stocks of all public companies across the entire world, anywhere and everywhere, every single company now blockchained, cryptoed, that's about 80 trillion. So to get there, that's about 100 times, a little more than 100 times from where we are today, right? So if you wanted to go up 100 times, then you have to believe that all public companies will be on the blockchain and traded as a crypto. And if you put in everything else, alternatives, fixed income, credit, real estate, just lump all assets of the whole world, you get to 500 trillion. And so 500 trillion is going to get you, maybe 800 times, a little 700 times from where we are today. And that's a tall ask. So I am very bullish about where the tech is going. And I do think that we can hit some of these earlier kind of benchmarks. But to go up 800 times in total, you really have to supplant the entire world GDP. And you're really imagining kind of the singularity event where, we merge with the machines and the prop bots, TM and so on. And
TM Joel, come.
That's right.
Don't just TM that there, Lex.
I just want to pay my royalties, man. That's all it is.
Appreciate it. Yep, you could send me Dogecoin.
So that's so 500 trillion is the world's GDP present value, or it's the sum of all of our assets. And that's kind of a very tall order.
And that doesn't even include derivatives, right?
That doesn't, it includes that's kind of where it gets annoying and technical, but it includes the revenue from derivatives. It doesn't include the notional exposure.
I kind of feel like that whole segment there should be like space video, and you're narrating and we're zooming by the stars, and the planets and the galaxies, because you gave such a broad view of what's possible. And thank you for that. I'm going to bring you back to a year from now, January 1st, 2019. Where do you personally believe we're going to be in market cap?
Fair enough. I think we will probably be between 2 and 3 trillion.
Wow. Wait, I need to do this. There we go. Okay, we're good now. We've changed.
And it could be as high as 5 trillion potentially. If you just figure out the math of like $100 billion a week flowing into crypto since November, the holidays had the lull, but even if we're sitting at $50 billion a week, that alone right there is going to be another 2.5 trillion. So I think we could be at between $3 and $5 trillion by the end of the year. That's crazy.
But nobody asked you.
But I'm not a futurist. That's true.
Yeah, so I'm not an investment advisor. You got to do your research, and you're most likely going to lose all your money because the coin you pick will go to zero and all the other coins will go to the moon. That's in my experience, that's how the market works. But the thing about like the .com bubble, we looked at this, and at the peak of the bubble, if you look at kind of the IPOs, right, between 97 and 2000, the tech IPOs, 84% of those tech IPOs from those 3 years within a decade were gone, just to zero, right? And this isn't just some random startups. These are companies that IPO'd within 10 years, 84% of them were gone. But of the ones remaining, you have Amazon and Netflix. And Amazon is all e-commerce, and Netflix is essentially all video and media. And so I think crypto is very much like this, where having exposure to the asset class, finding ways to make rational choices and incorporate it into your overall portfolio, and just having this as part of your investment strategy over the long term. It's how the economy is going to be. And the comps that I went through, I think you just have to figure out what you believe, and that's where we'll get to.
What year is it in the World Wide Web years for you when we look at crypto?
Maybe year 3.
So, well, the web was invented in 1980. Right. We had our first commercial websites because we had a browser in 1993. And then, of course, the .com boom happened from 97 to 2000 before the bubble burst. So in that context, are you saying we're in 1983?
No, I was going 93 plus 4. So 97, 98.
Okay.
It's probably somewhere there. But the part of the comparison is that time is different now, right? Time to adoption is much, much faster, right? So the adoption of televisions was much slower than the adoptions of computers, was much slower than the adoption of cell phones, was much slower than the adoption of WhatsApp. And so I think things can go up much faster, and then they can also shatter much, much faster. But I think 2018 we still have this theme of the traditional finance industry coming in and figuring out how to play in the space. And so, even if you have kind of the speculation that drove 2017 slow down and start to turn into more maturity, we still have this kind of secular theme of, banks and exchanges and investment companies and payments companies. They all have to build bridges into the crypto world. And, I think that will take a long time, and it will certainly, I think, support some of the values that we see.
This is an amazing space. I just want to say, you know what? I think you've blown a lot of people's minds, for one, because we normally are just talking about crypto, but we're with you, we're able to talk about where is crypto headed? Where is it? But it's not just about crypto, all these other elements of technology that are sort of flowing into this space. It's pretty much unbelievable. What are some of the final thoughts, or maybe some key points that you might want to leave with our audience as we wrap this up?
I think this is a space that moves super quickly. I've got a weekly newsletter that I'd love to plug. It's next.autonomous.com. So every week I do like a top 3. One of them is pretty much always something about crypto, right? Like what's developing, what's happening, is there interesting new companies in the space? And then the other 2 things are often kind of versions of what I talked about. So robo-advisors, neobanks, different augmented and virtual reality companies, artificial intelligence, definitely like these issues about the truth and what's being communicated and how, like, are we going to see these virtual reality worlds come to place? So I definitely recommend folks check out that newsletter at next.autonomous.com. And I'm pretty approachable. So get me on Twitter and ask me any questions you want.
That's great. And I just subscribed Bad Crypto to that list and would recommend that if you guys have derived as much value as we have from this time with Lex, that you go to next.autonomous.com and also subscribe to his free newsletter. So Lex Sokolin, director with Fintech Strategy at Autonomous, thanks so much for dropping knowledge bombs here on Bad Crypto.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And again, yes, that is that's next.autonomous.com. Thank you so much to Lex for coming on the Bad Crypto podcast. And if you go to next.autonomous.com, you can read all about it. They have a really interesting newsletter that has weekly thoughts from Lex and the team over there on robo-advisors and blockchain and neobanks and insurtech and artificial intelligence. And it allows you to see how it all fits together. So if that's something you want to keep learning about, go check out that newsletter over there at autonomous.next. Great interview, really sharp guy. We had heard about him and we had no idea he was so brilliant. He really brought the thunder, Mr. Joelcom.
He did indeed. And we're going to have in an episode coming up really soon, someone else who's going to bring the thunder. We also spoke with Jameson Lopp, and Jameson with BitGo, he's an engineer, is really developed a name for himself in the space, very influential. And I want to read a tweet to you that he just put out there before we finish up today. He said, "I regret to inform you that the reputation of the @Bitcoin Twitter account is now questionable. Appears it was sold to help drive traffic to Bitcoin.com and will likely be ramping up to full-blown Bitcoin Cash is the real Bitcoin propaganda before we know it." So, And
I would say this, Jameson Lopp, on his webpage, lopp.net, if you go to that site and you click on his resources page, he has compiled the definitive resource list of all these amazing things that you might want to, learn about crypto on. And that's a phenomenal thing. Once I saw that, I think we saw it a couple of months ago or maybe even longer than that. But I was like, man, there's so much stuff. If somebody is just getting ready to, dive into the crypto space and start wrapping their head around it, as a supplemental curriculum aside from Bad Crypto Podcast, which should be your primary source of knowledge, you guys, the resources page there on Jameson's website is top notch.
So watch for Jameson or listen for him, because there's really nothing to see since we're an audio podcast, in a episode very, very soon, coming to wherever it is that you listen to your podcast. Many of you listen on iTunes or on your Apple mobile, podcast app. Many of you listen on Stitcher Radio. Some of you listen on iHeartRadio. A bunch of you are on Spotify. Some of you are on TuneIn. Some of you are on your Amazon Echo, and you're telling it to play the latest episode for you, which is really cool because that works as well. And then there's SoundCloud, YouTube. Find us at all the places. Like us when you find us. Comment, review, and then do the thing that brings us the most joy. Send us all your crypto. No, I mean, review us.
Mm-hmm.
Review.
Some of you listen to that via ham radio. Some of you are listening via, Telegram. Some of you got Telegram. Some of you are listening via Morse code. I mean, it's a really long episode.
We have truckers. we have truckers out there, Travis, that are listening on CB.
That is so amazing. 10-4, good buddies.
Breaker 19. We got us a bad crypto bandit here on the road.
It's a bad bandit. You some bitch.
Little Smokey and the Bandit reference there. If you haven't seen it, a classic from the 70s. Burt Reynolds and Jackie Gleason at their corniest best. And so we gonna go eastbound and down there, son. And until next time, all you stay safe on the road while you stay bad.
Who's bad?
The Bad Crypto Podcast is a production of Bad Crypto LLC. The content of the show, the videos, and the website is provided for educational, informational, and entertainment purposes only. It's not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, or trading advice of any kind. You shouldn't make any decisions as to finances, investing, trading, or anything else based on this information without undertaking independent due diligence and consultation with a professional financial advisor. Please understand that the trading of Bitcoins and alternative cryptocurrencies have potential risks involved. Anyone wishing to invest in any of the currencies or tokens mentioned on this podcast should first seek their own independent professional financial advisor.
Eastbound and down, loaded up and trucking. We gonna do what they say can't be done.
We
got a long way to go and a short time to get there. We're eastbound, just watch old bandit run.